the number one regret for many owners after they sell. It's, what am I doing? What is my identity? I didn't plan enough for what comes next.
For the right situation and just structuring it correctly, everybody can kind of get it exactly the way that fits them.
They want to feel needed, so they light things on fire just so they can put the fire out.
This guy had done a really good job at building his team, but what he didn't have was purpose.
Welcome to the Total Succession Show. I'm your host, Tyson Ray, joined by Kim Kokenauer. We're glad you're here. Subscribe at totalsuccession.com/podcast and let each episode guide you closer to a confident, well-planned exit. Today's conversation just might be the nudge you need to start preparing for what's next.
Brian, what is it like for you to kind of make that exit in your business while you're still very much involved? Clearly, you're in the office today. I know your clients still hear from you. So talk a little bit about that experience for you with getting out of the way of all the stuff you kind of put in motion but are still working.
Yeah. Well, as we're shooting this, we've got all the clients transitioned, and we're still in a little bit of a transition mode, learning all the new software and, processes and procedures. So we're just kind of getting ramped up to get back to our normal appointment schedule, actually next week. So that'll be great because it'll give some semblance of, fluidity to the team. But I would tell you it's a little bit freeing, but it's also a little bit scary. So when you're the person that built it, we're responsible for some or all of the decisions. You can do things, really, really quickly. And when you go through something like we did, where, we partnered with another firm, and, we have an ownership stake in this firm. So, that's how I think it gives me a vested interest in trying to help them in lots of other ways. But your ability to make changes or get things done is going to be at their speed and not necessarily your speed. And so that's, just a little unique, especially when you're learning new things and you're used to doing it this way. And it seems like if we did it this way, it would work better. What I'm finding out is they do have reasons why they want you to do it this way. It's just, you don't know it yet because you haven't been through the system. So that's probably for me been the biggest thing is, where I want to be. I'm not quite there as quickly as I would have liked, but there's the game plan, there's structure, and, the resources that we're going to gain when we get this all implemented. It's just going to be, amazing. So
I hear you saying, or if I worded it differently, it's the freeing part is you don't have to make all the decisions. And
very, very freeing. Yeah.
And the scary part is you don't get to make all the decisions.
I couldn't have said that any better. Thanks, Tyson.
So what's the future look like? I think, again, people look at succession sometimes as like death, right? Like they're ending their lives. And what I enjoy about having you on is just, in every conversation I've ever had with you, is there's just energy and joy and a desire to want to make impact to people's lives. And that it's not that for you, this is not some end, it's almost a beginning. Share that perspective that you have now that you're looking back on what you just accomplished.
Yeah, well, I would tell you, this is the first time in 47 years where I truly feel like I have every piece of the puzzle for my team and for my clients. That is a really great feeling. And now I have, these other resources. And so personally, my outlook for the future is I think our growth pattern is just going to go even faster than it has before, because we've been able to tweak a few things that we probably should have done prior, but it forced us to do it during the conversion. So sometimes you don't do things because that's just how you've done it or whatever. And And so that's been a really great thing.
Part of the reason why we're doing Total Succession is because there's just this need to try and get information out there to folks of resources like Nick's and Legacy Partners and other providers that are out there. Just try and create a resource for advisors to start learning what they need to be doing. Because most people listening to this, you've never sold a business before or sold your own business, much less.
Yeah. And I think, I try to break it down a little bit into, I think a lot of owners, original founders, view this a little bit like selling a house because it's the only major asset they've ever sold, right? Where you're just going to, keep going as is until I decide it's time. I'm going to find a real estate agent and list it. I'm going to get multiple offers above my asking price, and then I'm going to get all my money at close as I walk out the door. That's just not how selling a business operates. There is so much more involved in that process and so many more things that come after it based on that decision. And you brought up a really good point that the number one regret for many owners after they sell is not, I chose the wrong person, I didn't get enough money, whatever it was. It's, what am I doing? What is my identity? I didn't plan enough for what comes next. I thought I was going to play golf and do all these other things, but no, finding meaning and purpose there is so important.
Yeah, some of the higher divorce rates are coming from 65 and older because all of a sudden the owner shows up at home and is not running their business anymore, and the spouse is not used to them being there, and that's problematic too. So it's making sure your loved ones are on board and you can accomplish what you want to accomplish. But I really think that going back to your real estate analogy is, I think some people, and I think this is going to lead us into valuations here, because I was shocked. Like, I got numbers and I was like, oh my gosh. But then I started realizing, I think there are acquirers out there that are taking advantage of you, the business owner, and giving you a deal or putting a number in front of you that you lose sight of the math of how that number is created and what requirements are in that number. And you jump in without doing some due diligence or getting some help to help protect you from yourself. And that can put you in a precarious position, because I was shocked when you did our valuation. It was half, literally, of what the offers were. And then you educated me on why that was. So let's talk about valuations and some of the lessons that I've learned working with you that we can try and maybe teach the listener of what they can learn and what they need to pay attention to.
So, Ray, I think it'd be helpful, some of your coaching that you do with advisors, is that their identity can often lead to all the things that they do or all the things that they've done. But if you're building a legacy firm, your identity needs to shift. And there's an emotional side of that, of letting go of some of that. But how do you help them kind of work through that or reshape their identity in this transition of building a legacy firm?
There was an advisor in Florida who said to me last year, he said, Ray, my wife doesn't want me to come home. 5 days a week, I need to go do something. And this is a true story, by the way. He says, I can't play golf 5 days a week.
Yep.
And he says, so I need something to do. And now this guy had done a really good job at building his team and building succession. But what he didn't have was purpose with what he really wanted to do. And, if you read, I'm going to shout out to Mitch Anthony, who's one of my all-time favorites. In his latest book, The New Retire Mentality, I think it's in its 5th or 6th edition now. I think it's 5th edition. Right. So if you're not hooked, great Audible book, by the way, if anybody's an Audible, the first chapter, you'll be totally hooked. He talks about the history of where 65 came from. We pick 65 as this retirement date because most people died at 40.
Yeah.
And so there was no chance of getting to 65. And here we have, people obviously living longer. But I think what's really important is that advisors do the work to think about what's next and what are their real passions. Where do they want to give back and be a servant to others and pay it forward? And, it's interesting. They find themselves in a lot of boats that their clients are in. And I've seen advisors do some amazing things. One of the advisors we coach, we helped him. He was figure out what he enjoyed the most. And it was photography. And he formed a group of people who love to shoot photos, and he hired a Nat Geographic photographer and hitched a ride, and they
Oh,
travel
wow.
twice a year. And he takes clients that he sourced, that he advised. He no longer advises. He sold the business, but now he's like an ambassador to the firm, and he's like chairman of the board, and he's out, entertaining clients, and they're bringing friends. He's like a rainmaker extraordinaire,
Yeah.
sending all kinds of great clients back to the team that he sold the business to.
One of the expectations of this leader that's going to help take over is to manage the founder and to help keep the founder in the lane they need to be in, encouraging them to stay in that lane, reiterating they got this. Because once I was told I needed to be strictly managed, which the first way I took that I didn't like, but then realized part of letting it helped me stay focused on where I needed to be, so then the leader can go focus on where they need to be focused. Otherwise, I found myself drifting into all the different aspects of the business that I needed to let go of.
I'm going to use a Dan Sullivanism with strategic coach. One of the things that he talks about is, oftentimes the entrepreneurial person, and we'll use entrepreneurial advisor, founder in this case, they're arsonists. They want to feel needed, so they light things on fire just so they can put the fire out. And there is a whole psychology behind this. I mean, if you think about it, I won't go too deep in this because I can really nerd out here. But, when you think about a founder, somebody who has spent their whole life building this business, and all of a sudden they're passing the baton, they're passing the torch, even when they know they're ready, even when they know it's necessary, there's still this internal pull that's happening because in let's just call it ideal scenario, you really want to make yourself dispensable. You want to make it so that your team, your company, your clients, everybody's taken care of, thriving, growing, whatever. If tomorrow, we like to use this term of winning the lottery versus getting hit by the bus and going and sitting on an island and drinking martinis all day or whatever gets you going, you want to be dispensable, but there is a whole psychology of, you can be detrimental to yourself. So your brain, it goes back to these natural habits, right? It goes back to what's comfortable and what's known. And that's really this arsonist theory where all of a sudden you're like, well, I'm not feeling real needed, so I'm going to shake things up a bit, cause a little bit of a ruckus so that my team still needs me. And you're sitting there and you're second in command or your leader's going, gosh, just kill me
What are
now.
you doing?
What are you doing? You know better. So yes, being able to be managed and being willing to let that person redirect you it's vital so you don't start setting fires everywhere.
So I don't go with the arsonist one. I can bridge there, but what I have self-diagnosed is I love to solve problems, and if I don't have a problem to solve, I'll create a problem to solve, or I'll go solve something or create a problem that really wasn't a problem that needed to be solved, and that's where the leader comes in and be like, "Yeah, don't touch this."
Yeah.
Right?
Avert your
You
eyes.
say.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes. This, I think, for those of you who are listening, you will find yourself resonating on one side or the other of this conversation. And we just hope that it just kind of gives you hope that you are not alone. There are solutions and tools, and you're a human and you're going to mess up, but you have the ability to build this into your firm. Brian, speak to that advisor who's kind of struggling to get their mind there, that it's okay that their practice can live on forever if they're not doing everything still. I think you're a great example of that.
Yeah. Well, I think I have created these great relationships with clients, and I've always thought that if I wasn't around or my team wasn't around, what would be the experience that they would get working with some other firm? And would it be the quality, and would they receive the advice that they're getting today? And at least locally, I would say they wouldn't. And I just didn't ever want anybody to, because of something I did or didn't do, be put in a position where they are forced to go someplace where the experience isn't going to be what they've kind of gotten used to. And so that meant a lot to me. It's kind of a labor of love. And, as you've got a lot of years in this yourself, both of you. And, I mean, when you get clients, I mean, they become friends I mean, there's just some attachment that, boy, you don't want anything bad to happen because they've treated you really, really well and you've treated them really, really well. And, you want to do all you can to make sure that if something weird happened, they're still taken care of. And that's a really great peace of mind, to be honest with you. And if you build it correctly, and that's an important part, that's one of the advantages of doing what I did is you can feel really comfortable that they're, going to be well taken care of. But then, it's important that, you only get one turn at life and, you never want to have any regrets. And so you want to make sure that you're building in time to, do everything that's on your, bucket list, if you will, and, create that eulogy at the end of life and, go out with a big smile. So I've just thought, for the right situation and just structuring it correctly, everybody can kind of really get it exactly the way that fits them.
I think the one thing I'd have people consider is get out of your own way. I know this is preached on before, but I think it's so important. Like, you are so talented. If you are listening as a founder and you've built a successful practice, man, like, seriously, stop and soak that in and honor it and get excited about it, but also realize that it's time for that next level growth. And sometimes growth can mean letting somebody else grow up into some of the voids that maybe you don't need to be filling anymore. So I think that just allowing yourself to really focus on what you love, what drives you, what gets you excited to get out of bed, and let you go back to that and let somebody else handle the rest, because chances are they're going to be even better at it than you are. And that just creates harmony all the way across the board.
These conversations are designed to support your next move, however close or far it may be. Tap subscribe and let each episode guide you closer to a confident, well-planned exit. I've wrestled with these things myself, and that's exactly why I created something to help you do it with less stress and more direction. My book, Total Succession, is now available on Amazon. Inside, I break the process down into 5 clear steps to help you exit on your terms with confidence, full compensation, and your client's best interests at heart. You can also visit totalsuccession.com/podcast to download a free starter guide that walks you through my SPACE framework: see, prepare, act, commit, exit. Remember, you only exit your business once. Create the space to do it well. Thanks for listening. Until next time.